All right, man. What's going on with it?
Yo. What's popping, y'all? What's popping, y'all?
Make this big. There we go.
Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Tonight was completely random, so if y'all ain't here with it, really appreciate you.
Yeah, this is about to be mad random. So if it
We're
get a
trying
little
something new.
sideways,
Yeah, definitely let us know what's going on, though. But
yeah,
I hope y'all fuck
man.
with it, man.
Yeah,
I'm about to eat one more cat.
go ahead. So
It's my man's birthday today.
yeah, it's our boy's birthday today.
Hey.
Our boy, Mr. Lurkus, it's his
This is
birthday.
his
So
episode today.
yeah,
We're
so
random motherfuckers, so we doing random things.
we're doing random things. We're just gonna watch some random videos in the algorithm, and we're gonna react to them. Right? You feel me? Cheers, everybody. Cheers, everybody. And this video I picked. It's in my algorithm. Okay, so y'all can see just how depraved I am. I guess I don't know, but this video
For sure.
this video is wild as hell, y'all. Okay, forewarning. This is some wild shit. Okay, all right. This is a wild ass video. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this stuff in the comments. Okay. We're gonna discuss. We can pause throughout the video and talk about what's happening. If y'all want to hop on, y'all can hop on and talk about what's happening with us. I will post a link in the chat. But yeah, we don't agree reacts. And this is the first video we're watching today.
Hold on, let me grab my water.
Listen, man. Anybody that tunes in for me, if I'm your favorite character of this anime series, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. So don't hold me accountable for nothing, all right?
But listen, y'all.
Usually me and this
y'all.
man be on the same wavelength, but this one here, I don't know.
Like different.
I'm trying to tell y'all, this right here is like some whole other shit. All right, now
We're
this
not
is
gonna
some.
get canceled, right?
I mean, we might, but let's just let it rock.
Ride it out.
Let's just let it rock, G. Let's just let it rock, G. But yeah, so the first video going to come from me. I hope Dan's got a video. If not, then the second video will come from me too. But whatever,
See
we
what
going
we're doing here, man.
Yeah, bro, this is going to be frisky, my boy. So yeah, man, let it rock, Dan. Let it rock. By the way, this guy's name Wang. Shout out to Wang. He makes a lot of ridiculous content on YouTube. Crazy stuff. I catch him every now and then. So yeah, forewarning, this is not safe for work. There's kids around. I don't think they want to hear this stuff.
Mr. Wang, that does sound crazy, but
shout out to you.
Shout out to you, man. Let's see what you're giving us here, bro. All right.
July 2nd, 2005. A man enters Enumclaw Community Hospital with his incapacitated friend in tow. He quickly asks the staff to help his friend, then disappears before identifying himself. His friend is rushed to the emergency room, but it's too late. He's already dead before doctors could do anything to help him. According to the Enumclaw County Medical Examiner's Office, he died of acute peritonitis due to the perforation of the colon. The cause? Taking it up the ass from a horse. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of Mr. Hands.
Pause it, bro. Pause it for a second.
Yo.
So my man just took the whole sea biscuit, like
bro.
Entire biscuit, nigga.
Bro, this man is named Mr. Hands, bro, and this is a true story. That's the craziest part about it all. This is all really.
That's sick, bro.
Bro.
Yo,
look at this horse. Look at his mane.
Bro,
it's all like,
I had to share this story with somebody else, dog.
Yeah, shout out United one for tuning in.
Yo, I had to share this story with somebody else. Okay, I saw it and I'm like, yo, I'm sorry.
Thank you, appreciate that.
So I'm scarring everybody else, bro. So let's keep it going, shall we?
Everybody else.
Let's keep it going.
Just look at the horse's eyes.
I'm taking that. That's mine.
That was hit, man.
And the music, bro, the music does not.
This video is sponsored by Beard Club.
That music going
It
crazy.
can take a lot of work to keep your beard and mustache.
Hey, see if you can fast forward the sponsored part.
Got a
Though.
small
Them niggas ain't sponsoring us.
that you're gonna want. That's where Beard Club comes in.
You need
They
that
deliver
sponsor.
quality hardware and products that'll have your beard as much as the battery lasts a really long time. I hadn't watched the original video. Then I looked it up that I haven't covered on this channel yet. Mr. Hands is definitely the one that gets requested the most. And at first, I had actually thought that I hadn't watched the original video. Then I looked it up, and it all came back to me in an instant. From what I've seen, the uploads of it that are floating around online right now are edited. The audio is removed, and the intro has been cut out. But I was able to
Videos
find
out there somewhere, dog.
uploads of the original dating back as far as August of 2006. It begins with that classic Windows Movie Maker title animation,
Feel like
the kind that
I've
reminds
seen
me
this
of
before.
those top 10 heaviest metalcore breakdown compilations.
Oh,
It
God.
reads, Zeta Mo Beta Productions presents Deep Thrusts. Of the Wonder Horse. I can't play you the rest,
The
obviously,
Wonder.
but here's the play-by-play.
That's
The film
crazy.
opens with a nighttime shot of a man in a gray hoodie with his pants bent over
Wonder
next to a horse. Another man, also dressed in a gray hoodie, pulls on the horse's front leg. After some pulling, the horse mounts the pantsless individual, and this move brings the horse's massive erection into the frame. With a little bit of a struggle, the other man guides the horsecock into his friend's ass. The horse is bracing itself, the guy's gasping, and then you get this sound that's like squishing your hand in a plastic bag full of macaroni. Also, the guy seems to have 3 spikes on his balls. Because of the low resolution, it's hard to tell if they're piercings or some kind of growths. The horse starts thrusting really hard, and the guy makes these sounds that are like you're touching the walls in Doom looking for the secret, but there's no. The horse busts, withdraws from the guy's ass, and the other guy goes, "He came," with his voice of absolute wonderment. Then he reaches out and starts swatting at the horse dick like a cat playing with a toy mouse. The guy goes, "Oh God," in a half pained, half pleasured voice. That's the end. The whole ordeal lasts about 42 seconds. Legend has it that this man died shortly after the video.
Yeah,
So how did these guys find themselves in this position? The before times, you might have a guy here and there.
Listen, man,
Who does this?
bro, no, man. I feel like this was around the time when we was younger and we was kids, and they was doing that whole like 2 girls, 1 cup thing. You know
Yo, it
what
was
I'm
right
saying?
around there. I swear to
Yeah,
God. They said
bro.
early 2000s.
Yeah, man. So I remember being in school, man. There was this white boy that used to be in computer class, right? And I used to sit next to him. And he used to be like, "Yo, look at this." He used to be all K-proxied the fuck out on fucking websites you can't have in school. You know what I'm saying? Like,
He said you sick as hell, bro. That's a fact.
no, bro. It was there was like a paint Olympics. This dude put his whole
Yeah,
fucking tallywhack on a
yo,
fucking
you seen
stump
that? Yo,
and
this
shit,
dude covered
like,
this dude covered the Pain Olympics on here.
bro.
So yes,
I've
this channel
seen
covered
this
that
video
too, bro.
before, bro. This
Bro.
man really took that thing, bro.
You seen the actual video?
An animal. You know, like the archetypal sheep fucker of the Scottish countryside. But before the internet, most of these
I'm thinking
kinds of
about
guys
it.
probably just went through life thinking that there is a specific thing messed up with only them. And with no outlet
Story
for their
get deeper, though.
paraphilia, they basically just defaulted to living a normal life. But with the internet, all of a sudden, these people start finding each other. Although very, very rarely would these people ever meet in real life for obvious reasons. But there's one exception. A little enclave of horse fuckers in Washington state. In fact, the writer of the documentary Zoo, this was the only real-life zoophilia club of this sort that him and his team were able to find. And of all the states in the U.S. that this could possibly happen, Washington was a likely candidate.
Listen to this
See,
reason, though.
because at the time, Washington was one of a handful of U.S. states in which bestiality was legal. Although you might think, oh, this is because they hadn't had an incident yet to merit a law being made.
Which is
In the case
crazy
of
to
Washington,
think.
there actually was a law, but it got repealed in 1976. Around this time, Washington was one of many states that was repealing their laws forbidding anal and oral sex. But in the case of Washington,
In the
laws of
70s.
bestiality were attached to these laws. So once these laws were repealed, bestiality effectively became legal. And thus, Washington state becomes the horse fucker's paradise. But even with the law set up in their favor, there were a few other states where you could do such a thing. But Washington had one thing that the other states didn't. A man named James Michael Tate.
That man.
I remember. Okay, I remember this.
Right? How do you not remember this dude right here, bro?
That man's got a face.
Right, dog, look at this. Look at this man, bro. But look, this is the caucasity of the world.
This is pure
I'm telling you,
caucasity,
you
bro.
come down to my ranch.
I tell you right now, I got Lucy out back and she'll give it to you. All right.
a trailer that was next to a farm that was the home to several horses. He was also involved in the online zoophile community. But unlike most of his peers, he was actually interested in cultivating a real-life group of people with this shared interest. So after a thorough vetting process, James would start to bring these people into the fold. They'd get together for
Yeah, I ain't never
weekends,
going to
holidays,
Fuck
have
that.
food and drinks, great
Probably a weird-ass
conversations with
party,
like-minded
bro.
people. In the documentary Zoo, which spends time with some of these people, they describe how liberating it felt to have a group of people with this freakish shared interest and be able to discuss it openly in real life. Oh, and also how great it was to have a place to go get fucked by horses. A farm that, unbeknownst to its owners, had become somewhat of a
But
destination.
this the crazy part, though, bro. This wasn't even their farm. They fucking random horses. Like, that's the crazy part about it. It's not.
No. You got it backwards, Rick. They're getting fucked by horses, not fucking horses.
Yeah. He did specify.
You're right.
that.
You're right. But that's still some sort of assault. It gotta be.
That's like what, self-rape? Like I don't understand what this is now at that point. That's a really different type of like level, man.
Oh, keep going. Let's keep going.
God damn.
In an interview with Vice, Charles Vedetta describes it. How exactly did they train the horses to fuck them? They would literally bend over and wait for the horse to fuck them. They'd also put some type of scent on themselves.
Pheromone,
The pheromone people used to get horses to breed. He also describes their vetting process for the animals. Did they pick specific horses from the farm, or were they down to be fucked by any horse? They had preferences. They would figure out which horse was too strong, which had the biggest cock, which was the quickest fuck. It was like going to a horse auction. They were really into the cows too. One of the guys literally.
But the cows, though, my boy.
So you say now like horses really like they're like fat bitches low key? That's like the BBWs in the community.
Horses just hitting whatever. Horses indiscriminately.
I'm about to milk her shit.
Yo.
The bulls after it fucked him. I found that to be very problematic. Getting fucked by something you were going to eat. He was super darkly into zoophilia in a way that was unlike the others. Yeah, I mean, fucking a bull is one thing, but eating it after, it's a bit too far. I think we discovered the next PETA campaign. A lot of these guys wanted to see themselves as massive animal fuckers. Guys who could take like
They want what?
That was their
massive
goal.
animal fuckers.
Not
Like
just regular
massive
ones.
animal fuckers.
Not just regular ones, bro. Massive.
They would even talk about
He also
fucking
went on to question
dolphins.
whether it was the animals they were really into, or maybe they.
All right, so quick sidebar, like humans and dolphins are what, like the only mammals that actually have sex
For fun. Yeah, they should be
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah.
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 But yo, by the way, sidebar, this man has a whole video about motherfuckers trying to fuck dolphins too.
Let's
By the
get
way.
to a horse at least.
All right, let's get
You're trying to go into the fucking sea now.
that these guys had this worship of cock that may have had nothing to do with horse.
Yo.
As part of the ritual, sometimes the men would go on to fuck each other and post videos of it online, along with, of course, videos not unlike the infamous Mr. Hands video. So anyhow, one day James Tate brings Mr. Hands into his little group. Mr. Hands was a divorced 45-year-old from Boeing. Years prior, a serious motorcycle accident had caused nerve damage that reduced his ability to feel a lot of sensations. This caused him to try and seek out new ways to feel something.
This crazy shit, bro.
Gives it things like fisting, gigantic dildos, and eventually he gets curious about the horses. And this is how he winds up seeking out Tate's little circle. For quite some time, he had been a part of their little group, regularly getting fucked by horses along with his pals.
Regularly.
And on that fateful night, July
All the
2nd,
time.
disaster strikes. Although there was a horse on Tate's property that the men would usually engage with, this night, for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening. So Tate, Mr. Hands, and an unidentified
A
third
horse that I'm
person
not
with the
feeling the
camera
entirety
would go to
of.
the farm to meet up with a horse that they knew as Big Dick. While the third man is filming, first Tate gets fucked by Big Dick. And then right after, it's Mr. Hands' turn. But for some reason, this time, Big Dick was just too much to handle. And that's where Mr. Hands gets his colon perforated. He immediately knows that something has gone horribly wrong. But he refuses to go to the hospital because there's just too much at stake. He couldn't risk Boeing finding out. Worse, he couldn't risk his family finding out. So he decides he's just
What do
going
you
to
mean it's on the internet? What?
Hours pass, though, and they realize this isn't getting better. This isn't something he's going to be able to just tough out. Either they get this man to the hospital or they're going to have a dead body to deal with. But as you know, it was a little too late. Who knows if they could have saved them if they'd only gone sooner. But for the survivors, their friend dying was just the beginning of their problems. Using Mr. Hand's driver's license, police eventually track his co-conspirators back to the farm, and it was there that they would discover hundreds of VHS tapes and DVDs of these men fucking horses, one of which contained the incident that ended Mr. Hand's life. It should be a pretty open and shut case then, right? Not so much, because if you remember, there's no bestiality laws in Washington, so they had to find something else. Perhaps animal cruelty? Well, after reviewing the videotapes, and remember, authorities had to sit through hundreds of these tapes. Couldn't go for
Yo,
it.
pause this. Pause for a second, Joe. Imagine the cop, bro. Imagine the cop who has to watch all the fucking tapes. Imagine that's your job, bro. You come in Monday, you're like, oh man, I had a good weekend. You know, hung out with the wife and kids, and they're like,
Hey,
Johnson.
George, listen, man, we got a whole fucking pack of documents. On
Stack of them, bro.
Listen,
It's more than like, bro.
He's even got a name. His name's Big Dick. Big Take that one.
He could be like, what, bro? When
He's the Big Dick taking on the Big Dick. Look at
bro,
you.
when he hits play, bro, he gonna be like, what the
Bro,
fuck?
you should have grabbed the VHS for you. This is gonna have a fat ass fucking title, Big Dick.
He gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, what world am I in? Like,
He's gonna
like,
rethink his whole career.
hundreds
bro.
of
right? He gonna be like,
Hundreds.
he be like, you know what? I might take up art again. You know, I might start cooking again. You know,
You know what I'm saying? You know, my
I might
auntie
just
did
quit
say I
life.
should get back in the drawing.
all right, keep going, G.
Is that any of the animals were actually harmed. So what happens is James Michael Tate gets charged with criminal trespassing because, you know, the owners didn't know these people were going on the farm to fuck their horses. He winds up with a suspended 1-year sentence, a $300 fine, 1 day of community service, and he's forbidden from ever visiting the farm again. The Kings County Sheriff's Office expected that no media outlets would report on this case due to the gruesome details, which shows that they have absolutely no idea how the media works. This would be the Seattle Times' biggest story of the year. But an interesting thing about it, Mr. Hans' real name would be withheld from all of the early reporting.
This is
It's
wild.
rare that feds or some kind of powers that be were forbidding anybody from using his name. And considering how readily the media usually names people, and that Boeing might have had some kind of sway, because, you know, they wouldn't want to be known as the horse fucker company, it is kind of plausible. But then the radio DJ Tom Likas one day just let it all out live on the air. He identified Mr. Hans as Kenneth Pinion, the Boeing employee. His family of course, were mortified by the whole situation, and with all this looming over their heads, they still had to deal with his estate, which previously, unbeknownst to them, included a property with a house and a barn that he was building, as well as a horse he had purchased named Strut. You see, all this time,
Right,
he had been
Joe.
building this new house in hopes that his wife and kid would eventually come back to him and live there with him. But they only learned of
He's
this
fucking
when he
straight.
died. Also, a cast of the horse's penis was found inside the house.
Oh,
The horse was taken by an animal rescue and gelded immediately after. They did this so none of the other horse fuckers wandering around town tried to buy it for nefarious purposes.
Okay.
And of course, this case more than anything left the people of Washington state wondering, how the fuck is bestiality still legal in 2006? A Washington senator named Pam Roach quickly made a bill to ban it
Bro, she was on their
in
ass.
Oh, no.
February.
Oh, no.
But luckily since then,
I
they
can
haven't
hear
had to
them.
actually use this law
She
for anything.
did though.
It makes sense because for these guys, the party was already over. And according to Charles Madutta, there was a bit of an air of resentment
He said his what?
Charles Madetta.
towards Mr.
That
Hanks.
can't be a real
After
name.
all, he's the one that ruined the horse fucker's paradise. When I was talking to the zoos in Washington, I got an impression that they thought Mr. Hands was a bit of a weakling. He was an intellectual. He worked for Boeing as an engineer. They could take a horse fucking and not have to go to the hospital. He was a fat nudist. They thought he ruined it. If he wasn't so self-destructive, they'd still be fucking horses on weekends. Having him at the hospital was really dumb.
Said he ruined it.
Media and mainstream, and ending the thing they had going. And of course, with the landscape of Washington changed forever now, they had to scatter around the country. In fact, James Tate would find himself arrested once again for horse fucking, and pony fucking and dog fucking, this time in the state of
What?
Tennessee in 2009. For his crime, James would receive 10 years of probation, and his accomplice, the farm owner Kenny Thomason, would receive 2. Over the course of the next few years, several states would finally add bestiality laws.
Because of this motherfucker. Because of this motherfucker out here
They only
going
banned it
crazy.
in 2021 as a reaction to an incident that had happened the year prior, also with horses. Hawaii also banned it
Also
in
with horses.
2021. That leaves us with 2 spots, New Mexico and West Virginia. I'm just going to assume they haven't gotten around to it yet, and it's not that they're huge bestiality enthusiasts. And that just leaves us with the matter of the actual viral
Oh,
video.
hold on, pause it
A lot
real
of people
quick.
take for granted.
For a fact, I don't know the exact weight, but West Virginia does not discriminate as long as the animal is like either above or below like 5 to 10 pounds. I can't remember. Yes, yes, yes.
How do you know this? How
Because
do you know this? I need to
one,
speak like this now. How do you know this?
one, my friend lives in West Virginia, and
Your
two,
friend, huh?
he knows somebody that actually
Oh, he knows somebody.
participates.
In animal
I
fucking.
hope he's not the one, because he
So
my
you're
homie.
telling me
He my
that
down bad homie. I hope
in
he not out there.
technicalities and in a sense, allegedly, you are tied to a
Ooh-wee.
person that is
Could be.
indulging
It
bestiality.
could be close
Could
to horse
be.
fucking.
Could be.
He's just a
Could
full-blown
be.
horse fucker.
No, full blown. Let me find out though. Let me find out. I'm cutting them off quick.
Wait.
I'm cutting them off so quick. Yes, yes, I am. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. I don't care.
That's crazy, guys.
Jesus Christ, dog.
Granted that this
Holy
is the
shit.
actual video in which Mr. Hands gets killed. In fact, a lot of people describe it as being way more graphic and violent than it actually is. There's always been some debate over whether or not this is the video and whether or not that's actually Mr. Hands in the video. Some have even claimed that they've seen this video before the incident. In fact, even the Two Guys One Horse website, which Joe Rogan famously
This is the shit that I was fucking talking about. This type
Yup.
of fucking website that webboy had. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That weird shit. 2 Guys 1. I told y'all.
promoted,
Yep.
notes that it's assumed but not certain that this is the same man who died. So here's my opinion. I think this video does show the actual Mr. Hands, but I don't think this is that same incident that killed him, and I'll tell you why. So if this is the video where he gets killed, it's unlikely that the men who recorded it would have went right away and uploaded it to the internet. They had way too much to deal with at that time, so it would have necessarily been leaked from the police department. But there's something in it that tells me that this isn't.
Oh, he probably leaked it though. They all be leaking all type of shit.
Now, anybody could have found the leaked video and added a title screen at the beginning just to be a wacky, silly guy. But there's something in the title screen that tells me that this video is most likely uploaded for the enjoyment of the zoophile community. The name Zeta Mo Beta. Zeta, if you don't know, is the 6th letter of the Greek alphabet. And it's also a dog whistle that zoophiles use to identify each other. You might have seen that squiggly line around on Twitter. This is a relatively commonly known thing now. But in 2006...
Wait, they put that shit on their Twitter handle?
Yo, so people are just taking that shit and just throwing it up there like as a
Like an identifier, nigga. They like,
Yeah.
yo,
so we
If you
part
see
of this
this
community. We be fucking animals. Like, what's good?
just hit my line and we
Just
can get
hit
to
me with that beast.
because I got a goat in the back.
Yo.
Yo,
My uncle got a few cows. This is
Nigga
crazy.
said I could jerk a couple beefs. Like, what's good?
that someone would have known to make that reference if
Talk
they were
about some
just
jerk
memeing on it.
chicken.
So to me, it's extremely likely that that video originates from inside the community. On top of that, the video identifies the man as Mr. Hands, and this does appear to be the actual nickname he had used with his friends. So to me, the evidence points to the fact that
His
this is in fact
friends.
Mr. Hands.
Like
in
that
the-
term is so wild
but
now
it's
when you
the
think
early
about
video
it.
and not
After you
the
hear
one
shit
who
like
died.
this, right?
Anyway,
Like,
that's
what
all
the
for
fuck's
Mr.
a
Hands.
friend?
If you like this video, check out my video about dolphinsex.org. I'm out.
That's a crazy way to end it, bro. Yo, so if y'all enjoyed this video about horse fucking, check out my fucking. Nah, shout out to you, Wayne. That was definitely
That was crazy as hell.
that was a
right?
crazy video.
All his videos was wild. Like
This was my first time stumbling upon this man, to be very honest with you. But I enjoyed his realism behind his own character. You know what I'm saying? His own reactions to things. Like,
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. That was cool, man.
dog. I had to share that with y'all. Look, man, I saw that shit up at like 4 a.m. one night. So I was watching his channel. So I was on his channel. You feel me, right? You know, his channel just be wild. So I was on this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? I watched that shit, bro. I'm like, yo, and my girl was asleep. I'm sitting there like, duh, I gotta
Yeah,
talk
you
to
were in it,
somebody.
bro.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta talk to somebody about this shit, G. Like, and
So
how
what
I'm
do you
gonna
wanna
wake
do?
her up? Like, babe, this video about these niggas fucking horses. Like, she could be like, what's wrong with you,
She
motherfucker?
gonna turn around in her pillow. She
For
gonna see your
real.
face. So there's this guy fucking horses in Washington. You want to know about it?
You're like, get the fuck away from me, boy.
Fucking
Like,
no.
oh my
What do you want to do? You
god.
want to do the one that you said and the one that I said?
Oh, go with
I feel
the
like
one
after
you
what-
said.
Yo,
I
the
feel
one
like
you got
after-
right there, that dude,
He be going
he
hard.
be talking about wild stuff
All right,
too.
so I'm with that. After what we just saw, like,
Yeah.
I feel like we got to run it up on something like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes
keep
the
going
truth
crazy.
is stranger than fiction. And today we're going to look at 3 stories that demonstrate that. But before we get into those stories, if
Yo,
you're-
I'm not gonna lie, G. Pause real quick. Yo, this is a decent format right here. This is pretty decent, pretty chill. I like this a lot. Yeah, me too, me too.
man.
We should try to get see if we
Thank
can
you.
get some. We should try to get some fucking can we play reels on here too? Because they got YouTube shorts,
Yeah,
right?
so whatever's on YouTube, well, whatever that I can access on my laptop, we can have.
Okay, bet. All right, cool. Let's roll.
Let's get it, guys.
mysterious
Grab me a beer.
story format, and you've come to the right channel because that's all we do, and we upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer to take the like button out on your boat for a scuba diving trip, and once they get off the boat and they go underwater, just turn your boat around and head back to shore. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any
Drown
of our
that like
weekly
button.
uploads. All right, let's get into today's story.
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen this
A
video.
28-year-old Russian man named Artyom Sidorkin started having severe chest pains. And at first, he tried to ignore it, but it got so bad he could barely stand up, and then he began coughing up blood, and so finally he went to the emergency room. When he got there, even before the doctors examined him or gave him an x-ray, just based on the way he presented to them, being pale in the face and hunched over and very sick looking, they assumed this must be something very serious. So that day, they brought Mr. Sidorkin in for an examination, and after talking to him and hearing about all of the symptoms and just looking at him, the assumption was he probably has a tumor in his lungs. And so they sent him in for an x-ray, and afterwards, the radiologist looked at the x-ray and confirmed that, yep, there is a mass growing inside of your lungs. And so before they went to just start removing huge pieces of his lung, they told him that they would like to do a biopsy where they remove a small piece of the tissue and test it to see if it's cancerous or not. And so Mr. Sidorkin is terrified, but he's okay. He schedules his surgery. He goes in a couple days later, and the surgeon pulls out a piece of his lung tissue. And as it's sitting on the tray, he looks down at the tissue, the surgeon does, and he realizes there's something hidden inside of the tissue, as if the tissue was like an envelope holding something inside of it. And so he opened it up, and there, growing on the side of his lung, was a small fir tree. It was 5 centimeters long.
What?
Green, it looked very lively. It was just a thriving little tree. The doctors believed Mr. Sidorkin, who was a botanist, had inhaled a seed of a fir tree, and it got lodged inside of his lung tissue. And then as it grew, its pine needles began piercing his blood capillaries, causing him to cough up blood. After the discovery of what was inside of his lung, a spokeswoman for the Royal Botanic Gardens in London.
So you telling me that this thing right here, that's a little tree?
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yes.
That's what?
Yo. What's so crazy about that, right? Right, because you guys know I grew for a long time.
Yeah.
Is that like that for that to happen is first off ridiculous, but it's like that's the perfect environment for a fir tree to grow because it's acidic, right? It's dark, right? It is
Moist.
full of moisture,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like
Has plenty of food.
plenty of food. It being hot and seeds, and when they grow, like the seedling, like it grows from the seed until it breaks the surface. You know what I'm saying, right? So that sapling would have tried to fill up his chest cavity until it broke the skin, and then the roots would have shot out at like 10 times faster rate. Like that's like some horror movie stuff.
Yeah.
Like he would have died, and they would have buried him, and a tree would have grew out of his casket.
Out. Yeah. That's nuts.
That's nuts.
All right. Anybody else was
Or a
younger
seed.
had that that fear when you eating the watermelon and you swallow the seed and you like, damn, I'm gonna poop out a watermelon or something.
Listen, that's when you listen. Not for nothing, public, but that's what happens when you don't grow up white. You know what I'm saying? Like your mama try to get in your head, like you want to eat watermelon? Yeah. Well, if you eat that seed,
You gonna grow watermelon?
you gonna grow
You know,
watermelon.
I
You
was
know what
like,
I'm saying?
that's
Like,
crazy.
and I love watermelon. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Made you
So when I
spit
used to
that
see
fucking
that shit,
shit
makes
out.
me like, shit. And then how about that? They did that episode of Rugrats where like I think it was Chucky who ate a watermelon and the whole watermelon grew in his fucking stomach and shit.
Yep.
He had a nightmare. Like,
Yep.
come on, man.
But yo, keep game though. Cause like the seed hitting your stomach is whatever because the acid is gonna break it down, right? But the shit getting into your lung though,
that's different.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But that means that when he was operating with whatever, you know, all his
botany shit.
His botany stuff,
everything was clean.
Everything was clean, but he didn't have a mask. So he was inhaling everything. So that means that shit was just actively producing at all times. They were strong. They were potent. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
To germinate inside of the dark, damp conditions inside of a lung, but it is unbelievably bizarre. When doctors informed Mr. Sidorkin that he did not have cancer, he had a tree.
Hey, yo, pause that shit again.
Shocked.
The deeper question. What type of fucking tree was this motherfucker? What type of botanist was he? Right? What type of tree was he working on? Because that's not no normal tree that can grow inside your lung, bro.
It was,
You know what I'm saying?
it's a fir tree.
No, but I'm just saying, still, that's abnormal. Your white blood cells should kill that. You know what I'm saying? It should attack it. It should form a mass or whatever. Bro, for it to germinate and shit, like what type of this motherfucker part of KGB or something. You feel me? Like he a secret scientist. You know what I'm saying?
They said he was Russian.
I'm just saying though, bro, like what? You know what I'm saying, right? Like
no, that is true though. I mean, that whole
and how many botanists is, you know, like not everybody a botanist. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
you know, yeah.
So you know what I'm saying,
that is a
right?
weird thing to kind of have under your
Yeah,
belt.
like not everybody a botanist, you know, and like what type of seedlings was you working with that it was airborne? You know what I'm saying, right?
He was splicing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he doing some
splicing for sure.
He was doing some high level shit, bro. That's all I'm saying, because that's a super tree. He's probably trying to make some trees. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm overthinking this shit, but keep going. My bad.
I got the sense that there was a tree growing inside of me, but more than shocked, he was just relieved that he was cancer-free. There is a picture of this tree inside of his lung tissue, but it's a bit graphic. So if you want to see it, go ahead and Google tree.
Damn, I thought it was gonna pop up. See, our boy Wang would have showed that bitch.
That's a fact.
Want to see it?
Nah, that might demonetize us.
Pauline Dakin always suspected that there was just something off about her family. And years later, she would find out she was right. In 1970, when she was 5 years old, her parents, Ruth and Warren, separated. And to Pauline, it wasn't that much of a shock because her father, Warren, was a heavy drinker and he's extremely violent. But after they separated and Pauline and her mother had moved into the house,
I ain't gonna gab G. I always wonder, bro.
Pauline noticed her mom started to act really.
Oh, my boy goes see the tree. You always wonder, bro. Like, I know it's fucked up.
He said, "I want to see that tree. Be right back."
Yo.
Let us know how that motherfucker look, cuz for real.
I always wondered though, G, like how, like what does it be like to be in the house with a nigga who's beating everybody? Like,
what you mean?
I just wonder, like. Just smacking motherfuckers, G. Like I always wonder, like if I could be a fly on the wall, I want to be a fly on the wall, like a nigga. Just I know it sounds terrible,
that nigga
right?
Drunk again, ain't he?
Right, just like that is on that angry juice. You know,
Melissa over the house. What he about to do?
Yeah, I just want to see. All right, my bad. Let's go.
Anxious all the time, but she never knew why. When Pauline was 9, her mother told her and her brother that they were going to go on a vacation to Winnipeg, which is 1,000 miles away from Vancouver. And so they loaded up the van, they hopped in, and they drove all the way to Winnipeg. And when they got out, they went inside their new vacation home, and Ruth informed her children that they were actually never going back to Vancouver. And when Pauline and her brother said, "Why? Dad's still back in Vancouver. I want to see Dad." But Pauline said, "Sorry, kids, this is the way it has to be. And when you're old enough, I'll explain everything." Confused and sad, Pauline and her brother began starting a new life in Winnipeg. Over the next 4 years, Pauline never saw.
I want to go to Canada, nigga.
Touch with him. But she started making a couple close friends in Winnipeg, and she was starting to feel like this was home. But right as she was starting to feel normal, her mother told her and her brother that they needed to move right now all over again. This time they were going to go all the way to New Brunswick, the far east side of Canada. Their mother made them swear they would tell no one about this move. But later that day, when Pauline was with her best friend Wendy, she let it slip that she was moving. And so when Ruth came to pick Pauline up from Wendy's house, the two girls had to affect these sort of breezy goodbyes to each other so that Pauline's mother wouldn't suspect anything. Once in New Brunswick, the family did put down roots and they stayed there for many years. But Pauline's mother still was just incredibly anxious and paranoid about something. The kids just had no idea what it was. Fast forward to 1988, when Pauline was 23 years old, she had moved 2 hours away from the family home in New Brunswick and was living with her boyfriend and was working as a reporter at a local newspaper. And during that time, her mother called her and said, "Hey, I'd like to meet you at a motel. I'm finally ready to tell you everything about your childhood." Pauline was really intrigued and excited. This was a conversation that was literally decades in the making. And so Pauline eagerly went to the motel. She saw her mother waiting outside, kind of pacing around, looking very anxious. And so she walks up to her mom and she waves and she's about to speak when her mother just looks up at her and puts her finger over her lips, telling her to be quiet. And then she jams an envelope into Pauline's hands. And on the envelope, it just says, "Don't say anything. Put your jewelry inside of this envelope. It's probably bugged. I will explain everything inside. Just please don't speak." And so now Pauline's really confused, but she did as she was told. She took her jewelry off, put it in the envelope, and gave it back to her mother. And then the two of them silently walked into the motel, into the room where Pauline's mother was staying. When they went inside, there was a man sitting in the middle of the room that Pauline immediately recognized. It was the reverend of their church when they used to live in Vancouver. His name was Stan Sears, and Pauline's mother had been his secretary.
Bro, where is this going?
Church. Pauline always knew her mother and Stan were close friends, and in fact had kept in touch after they left Vancouver and were in Winnipeg and then New Brunswick. In fact, Pauline remembers periodically seeing Stan show up in Winnipeg and New Brunswick to visit with Pauline's mother. So it was a surprise, but not a total shock, when Pauline's mother confessed to her that in fact she and Stan had fallen in love. And in fact, they had had a secret relationship from the time they lived in Vancouver. But this revelation was nothing compared to what Pauline heard next. Her mother explained that the reason they had had to move so many times during her childhood was because Pauline's father, Warren, was actually a mobster and was a key member of an organized crime syndicate in Vancouver. Right after they separated, Pauline's mother found out she had
I ain't buying that one.
because the mob now believed that the husband could not control her anymore, and she knew too much. Stan also found out that he had a hit on his head because Ruth discovered that the mob wanted to kill him too because they knew about their relationship. And then also, apparently Stan was counseling a man that was in his congregation that wound up being a mobster, and so the mob this man had given up critical information to Stan, making him even more of a liability. At first,
so you telling me they just sent somebody undercover? That's what it sounded like to me.
Right?
It sounded like to me like, for example, somebody was claiming they was mafia and I'm mafia. You know what I'm saying? And I sent an alert like, "Yo, these niggas about to meet up at a diner tonight. Like, go pull up on them real quick." You feel me?
I'm there.
And you over here just yappity yapping. And like,
bro, the mob that deep in Winnipeg? Like, what the fuck?
You know what I'm saying?
The mob out Winnipeg shaking shit. They big stuff.
Saying something about me, eh?
They put up to the eh? I keep Cusco, man.
First, Stan said he didn't believe any of this, but when he found out the man he had been counseling had been assassinated, he knew it was true. They decided to not tell the police and instead go into hiding together because Pauline's mother knew what happened to families that snitched on the mob. They were made examples of. And so when
they're trying to kill y'all anyway,
and then to New Brunswick, Stan actually moved there as well in tandem, which is why Pauline had seen him periodically showing up at their house to visit with Pauline's mother. Pauline was understandably
Pauline mama.
At the same time, she was kind of happy to have some sort of explanation.
The pastor.
Things that had happened.
They ain't talking about that part.
So over the course of the next several hours, Pauline sat in this motel room with her mother and Stan and asked them every question she could think of. And she discovered that whenever she came home from school and she found her mother furiously pulling all the food out of the fridge and the pantry, throwing it all away with no explanation, that was actually because they found out the mob had tried to poison them. Or the 6 different times Pauline was unenrolled from the school she was at and then moved to a different school across town. That was
Bro, how they found out the mob would try to poison them? What the fuck does that mean?
School.
Well,
And so by the end
that
of the
old
weekend,
dude had
Pauline not
cars.
only learned about this totally crazy past she had, but she also learned that she was still in danger. And so before Pauline headed back home, she asked her mother and Stan what she should do to stay safe. And Pauline's mother said, well, that's actually the reason we called you here now, because after all these years, we were just tired of being in hiding. And so we've already spoken to the authorities, and they've moved us into a special witness protection program for families connected to the mob. When you enter this
You should have been
program,
did that shit.
as entering the weird world, where basically you're not really safe, but you have agents that follow you around that are undercover that track what you're doing and make sure there's no assassination attempt on you. And before
Some
Pauline
6ix9ine
could even
shit.
ask, her mother told her that as a measure of her and Stan entering the weird world, they asked that a
The weird world.
Pauline and her brother, even though they didn't know they were being monitored. At this point, Stan reached forward with a radio and he said, here's a radio that actually broadcasts to the agents that are following you pretty much all the time. But
The
you should
weird world.
use it if you're truly in a desperate situation, because as soon as you call out for help, there are going to be people that are risking their lives to come save you. As Pauline is holding this radio,
Bro, this shit sound like all cap.
Says, well, what happened to Dad?
You read the
Is he in
caption of the
jail?
fucking-
And at this
get the
point,
title of the
Pauline's
video.
mother says, no, he's not. He's in the weird world too. And she handed Pauline a letter that was from her father addressed to Pauline. And it basically spelled out that he had been moved into the weird world. And he was
Bro, this sounds like some shit my daddy told us.
some point when she read it. So now Pauline has
Oh
this
my God.
video
Sounds some shit my lying ass daddy said.
and she's just totally
It's that
overwhelmed.
secret
And her
agent
mother
shit.
just tells her,
Right, story long in the
what
motherfucker.
you want to do next. And if you want to join the witness protection program and join the weird world with us, just let me know and we'll make it happen. And so
Just let
Pauline,
me
who's in a
know.
total state of shock, gives her mom a hug
Just
and
hit my
gives
line.
Stan a hug and says, okay, bye, I'll be in touch.
I got
The
you.
weird world.
She gets in
Like,
her car and she's about to
Come
get
step
up
into the real
when she
world.
looks and sees Stan running outside holding something in his hand. And so Pauline
the
stops
fuck?
and he runs up to the window and he says, hey, I forgot to give you this. And he held up this round piece of metal that he told her was a GPS transponder. It was magnetized.
He gave her an air tag from Apple.
And what it
That's a
does,
fact.
it instantly gives off
this
a-
nigga gave her ass a fucking slug, one of them fake quarters. Fake quarter.
And so
Bro, he gave her an Apple air tag, bro.
Man, bro,
He
it's
said it
a
was
major
round
finesse
about
going on.
this.
It's a major fucking finesse going on, bro.
This is how scamming started, bro.
Bro, let's
Pauline
go.
thanked him, put the transponder under her car, and Stan went back into the motel. And so Pauline went back home with the intention of just digesting this information, knowing that she was being watched. She had this radio. She was, relatively safe. And her plan was to just give it a couple of days before she committed to joining the witness protection program and joining the
Witness
weird world.
protection
But
program.
after only a couple of days, her paranoia was so high that she dumped her boyfriend, she quit her job, and she moved out of her house into a separate apartment. And she called her mother and said, I can't take it anymore. I feel totally unsafe. I want to join the weird world. Her mother and Stan were
But why
delighted
is
at
it
her
such a-
decision, but they told
Why is the weird world so specific in here?
Bro, because this is a finesse. Somebody finessing somebody here.
So what's the real world? The
Bro,
weird
bro,
world.
this is a finesse. Whoever that pastor nigga is, he's slimy as hell.
He got a whole
Something
pyramid
go-
scheme
Something going on, bro. He got a quarter, so something going on. I'm not
He
buying
said
it.
he got fake quarters as he passing out the congregation.
He told niggas this a GPS trend. This sound like my daddy. My daddy told niggas he was a secret agent. I don't believe it. It sounds just like my daddy. This nigga, bro, I merch. I put that on it. I merch. This shit sound. Oh yeah, I was a secret. Man, fuck out of here.
Now listen here, boy. When you was 5 years old,
Yeah, I was in.
I was my third president.
Like, well, shut the fuck up,
Third
man.
one.
Like, keep playing, bro. This motherfucker, this is
It was
crazy.
a simple process getting into the weird world that a lot of people were involved in her basically giving up her old life and entering this new one. And so Pauline's mother told her that she would be in touch with one of her agents and they would contact Pauline when it was time for her to go. And so anxious and scared, Pauline began to wait and wait and wait. And her mother said, oh, just give it some time. They'll be in touch soon. But the waiting dragged on for 5 years. And in that time, Pauline met a new boyfriend, Kevin, who became her husband. And in conversations with him, Pauline started to doubt this whole mafia thing was even true.
For real, sound like a fucking
Find out
finagle.
that This really was a real thing. the mafia was actually after them, that Pauline would need to set up a sting operation on her mother and Stan. And so Pauline called her mother and very convincingly told her that, oh my goodness, someone just broke into my apartment. I think it was someone from the mafia. I don't know what happened, but can you tell me what to do? Should I call the police? What do I do? And her mother said, no, don't call the police. Whatever you do, don't call the police. I'm going to get in touch with Stan and see if he knows what to do. And just a couple
Stan, I'm telling you, this nigga greasy.
back and said, okay, honey, I spoke to Stan and he spoke to the undercover agents that sit outside your house and have been watching you for all these years. And they said that, yes, unfortunately, not one, but 2 men from the mafia broke into your house today. But
why wouldn't the agent stop it, though? This is nonsense.
Now. And Pauline said, Mom, I made that up. No one's been in my apartment. I've been here the whole day. I lied to you. No one broke in. And it was at this point that Pauline realized her mother and Stan had been living a lie since she was 5 years old. There was no mafia. Her father was not a mobster in some Vancouver crime syndicate. It was all made up. It would turn out Stan was suffering from something called delusion syndrome, where normal people that are totally lucid and have normal lives have one distinct delusion.
So he was perfectly okay,
but he was just
got
deluded.
one massive thing
Man,
that's
fuck
fucking the game up.
out of here, bro. Like, who the fuck is buying this bullshit?
So my man, let's just paint a scenario. He's got a whole house. He's financially stable. Everything is perfectly fine with this man. There's no ifs or buts. You know what I'm saying? He's got nothing to worry about. But once you talk about this one fucking thing, it's all
That
over.
the mafia after you, bro.
Right?
It's
Like
all
the
over.
mafia after me. Bro, I would have slapped the fuck out of him, bro.
Nigga said he just saw this in 20-minute
Bro,
period.
I swear to God, bro. Hey, yo, let's turn on the Gunna video, bro. I don't give a fuck about the rest of this guy.
I need to hear what happens at the end.
All
of
right,
this
let's
one,
go.
bro.
Let's go, man.
And sometimes that delusion is not a big deal.
It's
But sometimes
not-
it
it's
is,
not a
like
big
they
deal.
believe the mafia is after them. And during his relationship with Pauline's mother, he passed on his delusion to her through something called
What?
ado, which translates to madness for two, which is shared delusions.
Bro, someone
Who
needs to get
delusional
the fuck out of
dominant
here.
Personality can pass that on to a subordinate personality. After confronting her mother and then also confronting Stan at a later date, neither of them said, this is a lie, you're right, you caught us, because they believed it. And they took to their graves the belief that the mafia was after them. Their biggest concern after Pauline said this isn't true was not that they had been exposed as potential frauds. It was that
It's actually them.
Pauline's going to expose herself to the mafia because she's not using her GPS transponder or her radio or living in the
Yo, bro, my pop's got this disease.
So even though Pauline never got an apology from her mother,
What's the name of this shit again?
about the insanity of this whole situation, because
Something
again,
delusion.
her mother and Stan took to the graves
can't
the
keep it
belief
real
that the
alive, so I
mafia
don't
was in
know.
fact after Pauline ultimately made peace with the situation by writing a best-selling memoir called Run, Hide, Repeat. It is linked in the description below. Check it out.
That's wild. That's wild as hell. Okay, bro. My nigga.
Oh no, wait.
That Gunna.
Yeah, man. I got a video of this attorney going over the whole Gunner case, the Young Thug, all that YSL stuff. And this dude be pretty decent, man. He be on point at least. So I figured we should talk about this. This is breaking news in the black
lawyer
community.
or the dude who's giving us the video.
This lawyer dude, he the one giving us the video for the situation. He is the lawyer. He is a lawyer. He's not the lawyer for them, though. He's a criminal lawyer.
What'd he do?
You heard the ad, right? And what he do?
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board certified criminal defense lawyer.
He said no more videos from Rig.
Yeah, these is his videos,
Reaction
cuz.
last week to Gunna and talked to
That last one wasn't mine.
The last one was me.
and Young Thug.
You know what I'm saying?
before
But
we
hit me
do
with
that,
something
guess
though. If you
what?
want to
This
talk about
episode is
aliens and
sponsored
Ronald
by
Reagan or something like that, send me a fucking
my
link, cuz.
shill for eforms.com. You know why? Because it's awesome. eforms.com. Go to eforms.com if you need a form.
But let's hear an actual attorney break down this shit, though. I want to hear it.
But he's trying to sell us on eForms right now.
Yeah, fuck
right? He's
these
going
e-forms.
crazy.
We're not here for these e-forms, shorty.
Wait, hold on. I didn't say
Boy.
that. I didn't say that
doesn't
because
matter
I don't know
state
what
you're from.
eForms got for
You
us.
don't
You
hire
know what
somebody
the
to-
future
No,
brings.
man, I'm not here until they send
Where
us
would
a
I-
sponsorship.
If I need a lawyer, then you know what I'm
eForms.com.
saying. I'm gonna holler at
check
eForms.
No, bro, eForms is where like landlords download eviction notices from
See, so
motherfuckers.
you know about it. I'm about to evict you.
So one of the things
Fuck
about
outta
these
here.
cases is they're built on what? Snitches. Snitches get stitches and belong in ditches.
This
Snitches
white man
get stitches
he
and belong in
come on
ditches.
now. He
You heard this,
pretty much
man?
said, all right, so we're gonna get into it. We talking about snitches today, and you already know snitches get stitches. So moving forward,
What they say. Well, here's the thing.
I think he a defense attorney too, though. So his job is,
How this stuff gets out into the public is just beyond me. But remember,
I
when
got
you're
a toke
in the
for this
jail,
one.
everything you say is 100% what? Recorded. So everything you say is going to be a matter of public record. Now, these things, I've listened to these kinds of things. Sometimes they're absolutely hilarious. But let's hear what
Yo,
the
hold
DM
up, pause real quick. Look at this nigga's hat
he got a hat.
right there at the
Oh.
bottom.
I'm like, yo, I'm sorry.
I'm like, bro,
Hold on,
me too,
I gotta
bro.
come back on the camera for this one. Bro, when you said that shit, I paused and looked. And I'm like, this man is not wearing a hat.
bottom
and
right.
and whatever caps you take in his cap, because them
That's
shit
a
is
fact.
hitting, like,
Bro, I'm like, my nigga, that's not no hat, bro.
stop. But yeah, that shit,
Alright.
that shit say stop self snitching.
You need to cooperate and do what you got to do to get on up out of there because you have a son.
You got a son.
So you can't be thinking about nobody else or what nobody else got going on. You got to think about you because don't nobody give a fuck about you but you. You can't be thinking about what them folks on. I ain't trying to say, but
Yeah.
you just need to start. You just need to think about MJ. That's all I'm saying. Think about him
Right.
and yourself, but you can't be in there.
What you crying for that?
Huh?
Why are you crying? Why are you crying?
I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying no more.
That's tugging at the old heartstrings there. That's your loved one telling you what you should do, and it's very difficult. That kind of pressure is a lot of pressure on a young guy.
I need you to get that number from you, bro.
You act like you want me to call him three-way or something.
Nah, hell no. Hell no.
No.
Okay, I mean.
One of the things that they do quite often is, and it almost never works. They'll use some other. You have a pin when you're in jail, and so you use the pin in order to get to your access to your phone. And so they'll call another guy's pin and then do a three-way and whatever.
How would you get to know? Like, huh?
Yeah, 3-ways work a lot. I don't know what the fuck you talking about. He just said 3-way phones don't be working in jail. That's false facts.
No, he pretty much saying that, like, he's pretty much putting us on game type shit. Like, a motherfucker that's locked up, like, they got pins and shit like that. So, like, if you on the phone, like, if you call me type shit.
Oh, that's what he's saying. He's saying regardless, they're still gonna record it and know the conversation.
Yeah, you could put a pin and put lurk on a 3-way.
Yeah, no, I understand. I thought he said that the call wouldn't go through.
No,
He's saying that they still gonna know who talking and shit. Yeah.
What is they doing?
Right here.
Remember, I told you what I said before I left.
So that's the alleged shooter in the YSL RICO case, and his baby's mama tells him to think about his son and to cooperate with him.
That should just sound funny.
Even if he's the shooter, who knows if they'd even accept his cooperation? They may or may not. But so, and if we look at this case, there's going to have snitches coming out of the woodwork. Let's see what his lawyer has to say about that.
Law enforcement officers are all too eager to say, well, tell us about Mr. Williams. Is he involved in this? What do you know about it?
I'll be right
That's
back,
the
y'all. I
problem
gotta
with
take a
this
piss.
case.
Go ahead.
From the word of people who are getting deals to say, yeah, he was there. I saw.
That's the problem with this case. Well, that is part of a problem with this case. And when you have snitches out there, there's a certain way you cross-examine a snitch. You just start by going through all the lies that they've told throughout their life. Does your mom know that you sell drugs? Does your landlord know that you sell drugs? So you're living this life, blah, 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 blah. However, what do the cooperators get if they give knowingly false information? Zero. And don't think for 1 minute that everything that they say isn't going to be corroborated. Everything that a snitch says has got to be corroborated. Otherwise, it isn't worth shit.
He putting out straight game right now.
That's what this case is about. You're not going to hear any confession of Jeffrey Williams.
So every time there is a potential link to anything, his name comes up.
But when you target a human being who's so well known, you make it so easy for the other person to say, "Oh, you mean I could be released from this location that I don't want to be?" All I have to say is, "I know something about Jeffrey Williams." It's scary.
That's a good line, and I probably would use the same line, but it isn't that simple because you can't just give information about somebody and get out of jail. You have to give information that's corroborated. There's a thing called a CRI, a confidential, reliable.
So motherfuckers other people gotta have the same information. It can't just be no made up shit.
Confidential, reliable informant is somebody that you use to get a search warrant typically. In this case, we talked last week about whether Gunna is a snitch or not. They went overboard in the plea and in all their public statements to say that he's not snitching, he's not part of this. If he takes the stand, he's going to take the Fifth Amendment, blah, 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 blah. Well, he won't be able to take the Fifth Amendment if he takes a stand because he won't have that right because he's already taken a deal because he doesn't have exposure to criminal prosecution.
So Gunna was saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take the fifth. I'm gonna take the fifth if I gotta take the stand." This dude just proved that's a lie because he says he can't take the fifth. He can't plead the fifth no more because he already has a deal.
For somebody might say that Young Thug gave an order. That's what he was talking about in that last clip. What is he looking at? He's looking at 20 plus years easily. And now I have to confess a little ignorance because I don't exactly know what Gunna's role was within the organization. My guess is he was probably a little bit removed, and that's why he got the deal he did. It's either that or he snitched. That would be the only thing that to explain it. And sometimes people don't get their deal until after they test. I've had plenty of snitches over the years dealing with them, and I've had some that are good snitches and some that weren't so good. By good and bad, I mean they were credible or not credible. The situation is unraveling a little bit as they go along, because as they get closer to trial, people are doing all kinds of plea deals. And so Lil Duke and Slime Life Shoddy both took plea deals and were released from jail, and their sentence commuted to time served last Friday, on December 16th. Now, we don't know, and we won't know, if any of these things are paid for testimony. In other words, when Young Thug's trial starts, are these guys going to be testifying in his trial? And if so, did they take a deal for that testimony? We don't know. And you won't know until the case starts. And here's the thing. We won't know if any of these guys are snitching or not. But guess what they're all doing? They're going overboard to say that they're not snitching. This is a post by Slime Life Shoddy. Yeah, I'm
Slime Life Shoddy.
To get there, dickhead. I admitted Young Slime Life was a gang because it ain't illegal.
That's a fact.
To be a gang, look it up. That don't hurt nobody. Anybody can be a gang because the founder already admitted it's stupid. What I supposed to say if a founder admitted it? What I didn't do was say, yes, it's a fact. People in YSL commit crimes like murder and etc. because I don't know nothing about that.
Yo, hearing him read that shit is fucking
I don't know anything about
hilarious.
YSL Shoddy. I mean, all I can tell you is grammar's, perfect. And we won't know if he's a snitch until
That's a fact. They did do that sometimes to themselves.
Yeah,
but
it's
I
a
can tell you
trial.
this: they do have snitches. He may or may not be one, and I'm not going to sit here and say he is, or even that Gunna is a snitch. I'm not going to say that because we don't know that, but we will know it once their hot ass sits in that hot seat, and if they start saying shit that's against Young Thug, and that's the only way they're going to make this case happen. So one of the things that they had to do in Young Thug's case, in order to prove a RICO case, is they have to prove, number one, that there is an organization. They're gonna, and all these guys are. That's one of the things that they're all admitting to, that the YSL is an organization organized for the purpose of criminal activity. And so they're going to have people who were members of YSL come into court and testify that it is a gang, that or an organization designed for a criminal purpose, and that there were crimes committed in to benefit that corrupt organization.
I'm trying right now, bro.
And so we're going to follow this very closely and see who's telling what, who's saying that. Everybody is going overboard to say, "Oh, I'm not a snitch, not me, not me." The fact that I got out on Friday doesn't mean anything.
I got out on
About a lot of
I'm
things,
good.
but I'm also not going to go there without the evidence to back it up. If they're saying they're not a snitch, they're not a snitch. They just happened to get out on Friday. So that's our little update on YSL and Young Thug and Gunna and where everybody's. And Mr. Shoddy, as you can see here, he looks fantastic. He's probably really happy to be home. I would be. But whether that was so, I'm Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled day here in Criminal Lawyer React World. I'd like to give a shout out to Percy Mack, who does our outro, and to J-Lap, who does our intro, and to Michael Rivers, who is our content.
Oh, that's a good question.
We're lucky to have him around. And
this one right here?
Thank him for my pearl handle pistol cufflinks. And we'll see you
Oh,
next
no,
week.
I was talking about.
Make sure you order your merch.
I can't read.
Fire down below.
No, I don't think Thug will beat the case.
I don't care what.
Listen,
to fry that motherfucker.
I'm gonna throw this on just because I feel like that last video we saw was just pure ignorance. So I'm gonna just follow it up with some more ignorance.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
I don't care what you are saying.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo. And today
What the fuck?
our picks for the top 10 stupidest moments on Judge Judy.
We're done. Thank you.
This is about to be great. I
I'm
feel it
taking-
already.
I'm taking a
This
beat on
list,
this.
we'll be looking at the dumbest incidents, comments, or arguments brought into the judge's court. Which Judge Judy moment makes you facepalm? Let us know in the comments.
My nigga question.
Number 10. Don't sass the judge. Let's just begin by saying that this case is titled Teen Keyed Girl's Car because she
Her
deserved
face
it.
mad
Not
flat.
a promising start, right?
But I was with Michaela the night that she did it.
Flat as fuck.
Your Honor. I actually have the text with Michaela, and she admitted to doing it. She said it was with a dog leash.
We meet former cohabitants, Michaela and Sierra, who come to the court after the former scratched the latter's car. There's a bizarre and slightly
You see the
tragic
dude in the
story
back.
about their living situation, but the part that qualifies this case for our list comes toward the end.
Sounds like something out of Pinocchio on the land of
Yeah.
lost children.
Yeah.
Because this is what the case is about. Your best friend was Nick.
Yes.
Your parents asked you to leave. You left.
The judge is sympathetic to the defendant's troubled background.
Play this one next right here, Joe.
Offer her some advice. Michaela interrupts with what she thinks is a smart mouth question.
And the only one who's going to have to live with the miserable life that you're creating for yourself.
I don't know why I just sent you.
Yes.
You said you get paid to lecture me.
So for the last 10 months or so, we've been dealing with this ongoing situation after WNBA player Brittany Griner was detained in Russia when they found hashish vape cartridges in her luggage. As you might know, many WNBA
How
players
y'all feel about this?
basketball
Brittany
professionals
Grinder.
overseas during the
Grinder.
off-season
Left
to make some extra
He said
money.
Grinder.
Griner has been doing so for years.
Can you talk a little bit about why so many WNBA players do play overseas in the offseason?
It comes with playing professional women's basketball, just supplement income.
And so she was over there doing just that. She got caught with this vape, which is extremely illegal.
Not supplemental. They get paid hella money over there. More money they make in
Laws
America.
around drugs in Russia are very well known, and foreigners to the country should know that they don't play about that sort of thing. In fact, in 2021, an American school teacher named Mark Fogel was detained and sentenced to 16 years in Russian prison for possessing 1 single gram of marijuana that he had been prescribed by an American doctor
No,
for
but
his
dude
chronic
ass is
pain,
spied.
and he still remains there till this day.
You're watching the last moment of freedom for Mark Fogel, an American teacher heading back to Moscow last August for his 10th year teaching the children of U.S. diplomats. Airport personnel going through his bags, just minutes before he was detained for carrying cannabis into the country. His sister says no one in his family has heard his voice since.
14 years in a hard labor camp is essentially a death sentence for him.
They put his ass in a hard labor
Invading
camp.
the Ukraine,
That nigga breaking rocks.
being even more focused. He is a high-profile figure in the WNBA, which doesn't have a whole lot of well-known players.
She says you'd be no better than the third best post player on the men's team.
Yeah, you have to feel this. I mean, I'm better, but and I know that kind of gets at them, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, little man.
I'm glad she's that confident in her abilities. But She's also a little delusional.
And so they had her locked up. They kept extending her pretrial detention, and it became obvious quickly that Russia would be taking this opportunity to try and make America look foolish and weak. And after around 2 months of her being locked up, the conversation really grew when the US did a prisoner swap with Russia, where we got back this Marine named Trevor Reed, who was imprisoned in Russia since early 2020 after getting into an altercation with the Russian police force. In exchange, Russia got back Konstantin Yaroshenko, a pilot who got caught flying in over $100 million worth of white into America. So the situation continues to heat up. The WNBA season begins 3 months later, and this adds even more fuel to the media fire. You had celebrities saying free Brittany Griner.
We cannot stop fighting for her. We cannot stop believing for her. And we will not stop hoping for the day when we can welcome her home safely.
We are BG.
And then you had a whole lot of other people saying that
shit
she
was so
should have known the
corny, bro.
rules and she must now face the consequences. And that just because she's a celebrity, she should not get any sort of preferential treatment. So overall, this whole situation became very polarizing very fast. Her wife was doing press, she called her a political pawn, and even called for Joe Biden to help them out.
When you're sitting over there, your country they haven't come to your rescue yet. I know that it makes her feel good because she doesn't want to be forgotten.
Brittany then also writes Biden a note that he reads and now considers her case to be a top priority for himself. And then in July, 5 months after her being detained, Brittany finally goes to trial and pleads guilty to having the vapes in her luggage, saying
They
that
finessed her. The lawyers over there.
she really had no intention of ever breaking the law. They even presented a note from an American doctor allowing her the substance for fatigue, but obviously only in America, like in the case with the school teacher. And then finally in August, Griner is found guilty and sentenced to 9 years in Russian prison.
I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling that it doesn't end my life here. I want to also apologize to my parents, my siblings, my Phoenix Mercury organization back at home, the amazing women of the WDA, and my amazing spouse.
This was, of course, massive news.
This
And Biden
man
basically
got
about to bring Brittany home.
booked for
This was
9
after another
years.
prisoner swap between Russia and the U.S. began. And after months of negotiation, we landed where we're at today, where Brittany Griner is coming home 10 months after being arrested in exchange for Russian arms dealer Victor Bout, who is also known as the Merchant of Death.
Victor Bout, in my eyes, is one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
On the face of the earth.
Without a doubt.
Now keep in mind, Victor has been locked up since 2008, but to suggest that he's still not a very dangerous person would be crazy. In the words of the
That's
former
wild.
chief of operations for the U.S. Drug Administration, Bout was providing tens of thousands of guns and weapons to dangerous groups of people for
See
decades.
that man mustache?
He was
Yeah,
even
that shit-
described as the man
That shit healthy.
who
Bro,
makes
you don't get that nickname like
Stuff and drop it with pinpoint accuracy to any desert, to any jungle, to any other remote place in the world, right into the hands of what I refer to as the potpourri of global scum.
Now many people are calling this the worst trade of all time. I mean, this was worse than when the Red Sox traded Babe Ruth to the Yankees so the brain-dead owner could fund his little Broadway play. And that curse lasted 68 years. Letting free a man who is a danger to not only America, but literally people all over the world, for someone who plays basketball for crowds smaller than what a high school football team receives, is insane. At the end of the day, yes, I am very happy that she's free, but at the cost of releasing a total piece of shit like this, I can't help but feel like we got absolutely fleeced. It's almost like we were out here eating out of the palm of their hands. But I will say though, I also see a lot of unjust hate for Brittany herself. At the end of the day, I do feel like she was used as a political pawn, both for Russia and for America as well. Yes, she made a huge mistake, and she put the US in a very shitty situation. But should we hold the fact that she was freed in this way against her, or against the administration? It was just very clear that in this situation, Russia really had all the leverage over us. We really should have gotten much more in this trade, like possibly also bringing home this Marine, the teacher I mentioned earlier, and also a few other Americans imprisoned in Russia. But I want to know what you guys think about this situation down below. I just thought it was a very interesting situation. As always, I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video, dropping a like and subscribe.
I feel like they did this shit on purpose.
Yeah, this is all a finesse, G.
I feel like they saw her coming through. She had what she had. once they saw who she was, it was just like, you know what? I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to take out this motherfucker right here so we could use him again.
You feel me?
That's a big fact.
You feel me?
You know
Russia
what I'm
Russia was
saying?
planning on getting his ass out for a minute anyway. He was like, man, if y'all don't get me out, bro, because you know, like they say, like that's like Putin's like one of his best friends. Like that nigga, for him, they're like that's one of Putin's like homies. He been locked up over here since 2008. Putin, like, you know what? With this war shit cracking, this is the perfect opportunity for me to get my boy back.
So he can hook us up.
You feel me? Cause I got some motherfuckers who need some weapons over there.
So what do you think is about to happen now?
It's
I
over.
mean, I think dude ass right now is probably laying up in a villa in Moscow with probably 5 redheaded Russians having
I
a
was about
ball.
to say bitches.
Yeah,
on
having a
deck.
ball. And next week he probably gonna be helping start an insurgency in the Congo. For real, because the Wagner group is all in Africa right now. That's the Russian special ops like black group, like not black, but like black list group or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. Who fucking knows, you? Who fucking knows?
Hit me with some shit,
yeah. Man, bro. Let's see. I don't know, bro. I think we should wrap it up, man.
All right.
I think we should wrap it up, man. Thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. This was a
goofy
quick
ass stream.
Oh, my boy over here just hopped in here. Yeah, man, my bad. But we cutting out here. It was a little quick stream, just chopping up with everybody. Little reactions. Thank y'all for checking us out, though.
He said,
we'll be
"Bro,
back probably.
Shit up."
Yeah, but we probably gonna stream. Well, it's the fucking Christmas weekend, so we gonna stream again tomorrow.
We gonna,
and the day
listen.
after.
I'm down to do this same shit that we just did right now tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do the same shit tomorrow. We just need people to come with some videos. Y'all motherfuckers in the we got like 5 people in here. Besides, y'all tell us what to watch on here. We'll watch it. We'll
supposed
react.
to be our audience.
For real, ugly motherfuckers.
Act like it.
But yeah, man, we greatly appreciate y'all. And we don't agree.
Get them out.